Boom, boom. Hey! Welcome back to another Backwoods Brothers. We missed you guys all last week.
Yes!
I'm with my man
Tony.
and I am Joel, and we are so glad to be back. Last week we kind of let you watch a rerun from last year with our hometown star Jessie Lee.
Tennessee star now. I mean, she's blowing
she's
up.
all over the place. She's been all over the
she's
US.
blowing up, y'all.
Oh yes, and I think she posted recently she's going to be doing a Just Fest.
Just Fest. Speaking of blowing up, doesn't mean literally. She's just blowing up all over the place. So she's taking this small town Estacada thing and making it 10 times big.
Oh yeah, massive.
Right?
She's really putting Estacada on the map from the music world.
Yes, what I like about Estacada though, it stays the same. And backed by popular demand, or actually not backed by popular demand, but you guys have recommended to us that we actually do a small town fight type of show.
Oh, exactly. So yeah, tonight we're calling tonight the small town fight because, well, it's a small town fight.
Yes.
So we're going to cover a few things tonight. We're going to cover what does it mean to be from a small town.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about how small towns are fading. We're going to talk a little bit about what is lost when small towns fade away.
What is lost?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to also talk about what is a small town fight. What can you do? What are people doing?
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I think the most, if is anything we should pull from tonight, I'm going to put it right up front here in the beginning. Small towns are quite literally the heart and the heartbeat of America.
Yes, it is. Yes, they are.
We didn't start America on big cities.
Nope, we started on small towns, and we have a lot of information to share with that. But before we do that, I was listening to President Biden.
Mr.
Biden? What is it?
Mr.
President Biden. Yeah,
Mr.
Biden, Brandon, whatever you want to call him. I was listening to him, and I was talking to Sis today, our producer. We heard that he had referenced MAGA people as ultra magna now.
Ultra MAGA, yeah.
Yeah, ultra MAGA. And she said it sounded MAGA, right? Ultra MAGA. And she said it sounded like an extra strength tampon.
Ultra MAGA.
For those women who need them. And then it sounded like a transformer. Mega. This mega MAGA.
Well, if you think about it, we are kind of like the tampon. We are stopping the hemorrhaging.
Oh! Whoa! Come on!
Oh
right
yeah,
here, right here. Yeah.
But,
so, you heard that, right?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, it was ultra MAGA, which basically implying that there's a lesser form of MAGA that's not so bad. And apparently next it'll be super ultra MAGA, and then ultra quadruple super duper MAGA.
It's almost like COVID. It's almost like what we call, well, I'm not going to go there, but it's almost like what we, whatever you feel that day as a Democratic thing. Whatever you feel that day, therefore you are. Yes, so there you go. That's today you're ultra magna.
That's the biggest thing about about much of the of the left and crazy left these days is it's a subjective view. Whatever they think that they think and they see or they feel in their heads is reality, even though we all know it's complete bullshit.
It's interesting because
it's an infectious disease that seems to be getting into people.
Infectious diseases. Tomorrow night, Sis is going to talk about. He's going to talk about those books that. Kind of woke books that we're teaching our kids and the combative things that the right are doing in terms of making sure that there's actually sanity put back into children's books again. Instead of this woke business.
Yeah, exactly. And she's been talking a little bit about that book. It's I won't give it away.
Yeah, we won't give it away because that's what today's show's about.
Yeah, it's definitely not what today's show is about.
It's your request.
Yes, it's not just the viewer's request, but I think it's something we've been needing to talk about for a long time.
Small towns,
and because. This is something that I don't know about you, but I'm exceptionally passionate about it. I've lived in small towns pretty much my entire life.
Yeah.
Minus very minor stints in other places.
You're in leadership in small towns?
I'm in leadership in small town, but I mean, I've grown up in small towns. I grew up just over yonder at Sandy, in that area. And well, as much as you can say I grew up, my wife would argue with that growing up part of it. But yeah, I mean, I was raised in it. And so I got to see just how critical a small town is, and when you compare it to larger towns, I would say that if you look and you compare it to we'll use Portland here versus Estacada.
Well, that's where this show came from. Is don't Portland our Estacada?
Exactly, and the reason why what that really means is don't bring your broke dick shit to our small town. It basically means is we have hometown values, we have family values, we have a set of beliefs here that we go with that we want to protect. And it's not like, oh, we believe it's not just about God or something like that. It's about we believe in family. We believe in small community and the community. We believe in patriotism behind our country and to stand up for that country and to fight for that country.
Yeah.
We believe that, you should be able to knock on your neighbor's door.
Speaking of that, a lot of small towns are industrial small towns. They are within the heart of our middle America of people who are grassroots. They're farmers, they're ranchers, they're you name it. So they believe in hard work. They believe in family, like you said, family values.
Exactly. Farming towns are a big example of that when you talk about the industrial piece. So I wrote down 3 things in our notes here just to kind of keep me on track.
Perfect.
But there are 3 big things that I really think are important when it comes down to what does it mean to be a small town. And I mentioned it already. It's culture, family, and values.
Culture, family, and values.
Yeah, and I think that's the 3 kind of pillars that make it up.
Let me talk about the culture a little bit.
Yeah, go for
it. We can't talk about culture without remembering where we came from. And so I pulled up a little bit of Estacada, Oregon. If you guys don't know where we are, we're like 45 minutes away from Portland, okay?
Not far enough.
Not far enough. And there's some people that 2 years ago were attempting to try to walk from Portland over here, and they were BLM protesters in Antifa. They were going to possibly walk over here. Personally, I would have loved to see them try that because some of those 2-lane highways are tough.
They wouldn't have made it through the Carver curves.
No. But there's some local history that people fought to try to preserve here. Under threat of BLM, under threat of Antifa. So I just wanted to read to you a little bit. That picture that we took, or that you took and superimposed us in front of, was a pretty old picture of Estacada.
Yep.
So Estacada, it's long. It has a history. Estacada came into its own in 1903, first of all, with the building of the Cazadero Dam, the first hydroelectric power plant in the Clackamas River, followed by the Faraday River dams. And so if you know anything about Estacada, we value our rivers and our lakes, and there's a lot of activity that goes on over the summer on those things. Estacada's post office was established in 1804. And the town became official in 1805.
That's a downtown Estacada right there.
There's a cool downtown Estacada. Actually, our mayor, in fact, has a building somewhere. Can you find it in there? Mayor Drink Wine?
You can't really see it, but if you see the tax thing there and to the little blue sign to the right of it, I believe it's kind of just right there to the left of that. Actually, wait, no. It's a small picture here, so there's that. That's I think it's their sign's not up right now.
Yeah,
but it'd be to the right a little bit of that blue and white building.
Yeah, we don't see his red SUV, but I tell you what. Speaking of small towns, our mayor tends to have 2 jobs. In order to establish himself as our mayor, because that's how you have to live in small towns. You have to have a separate job at times.
Everybody elected has to have a separate job in order to. No one's paid.
No one's paid.
That's in most small towns.
In most small towns.
I think I don't say most small. I think every small town, no one's really paid to be the mayor. No one's paid to be there. And when we're saying small town, Gresham is not a small town. Oregon City is not a small town. Molalla can kind of fit in that small town area, or Estacada. Sandy is smallish town, it's small city or whatever you want to call it. But small towns, 5,000, maybe 10,000 people.
That's what they qualify a smaller town is under 5,000, huh?
Yeah, well, there's 10,000. I think 10,000 people still can fit into a small town range.
Yeah. What do you think we're known for? There's something that we're known for. As a matter of fact, along the highway now, 224, I believe, is open again after the fires. But there's a logger downtown.
Well, we have the logger. We have actually have the Veterans Memorial that's been around for quite a while. But Estacada was historically a logging town.
Absolutely, timber town, and a home for workers at the Cazadero. At the Cazadero. Estacada, and I'll just give you a little bit more. It's a symbol of resilience. It says I can't say it. Adaptability.
Adaptation.
Yeah, our community is involved in redefined itself time and time again. One thing has remained constant, however, and that's the Clackamas River, which has always been the lifeblood of our city its mountainous rivers are power the region and provided unlimited recreation and fjord for the identity for. I'm sorry, fjord. That's misspelled. Fueled our identity for generations. Blah 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 blah. So, in other words, I'm so excited about reading about our small town.
Well, yeah, I mean, we actually got 3 dams in the area too. We got the Estacada Dam that makes Estacada Lake. We got the one that makes Faraday Lake, and then we got the upper one.
Well, and now they say that our small town is population is 3,426, but I believe that's slightly up from what I see here.
Oh yeah, we're much closer to 5. Right,
that's what I was thinking. And they said living in Estacada offers residents of dense suburban feel, and most residents own their own homes, and many families live in Estacada. Residents tend to lean towards politically conservative.
Yep, exactly. But I want to bring us back around to talk a little bit about, and we can read you guys, and he's got a lot of good stats he's going to read you tonight, but I really want to draw out of him and out of us, and out of you guys as well, the culture, the family, and the values here. Because that right there is the backbone of what we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Because that is what drives us to fight to keep it, because we have that culture of knock on your neighbor's door if you need to borrow something, or if you say, hey, I'm leaving town, can you keep an eye on my house? Or just chit-chat or have a block party with your neighbors, or maybe as simple as just knowing your neighbors' names. Yep. In most places, they don't even know the names of the neighbors.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing we did when we moved in here is we came and knocked on the doors to all our neighbors and introduced ourselves. And we had, I think, a block party a few months later and, you know, those type of things. And, you know, that's what you do in a small town. You get to know your neighbors. And then be able to walk around town and, you know people and shake their hand and get together. And if someone needs help, you can get a group of people to go together to go and help them. That's a small town culture. And that is what I'd say the lifeblood of our country is that particular piece. Because what that does is that allows us to have something that we can call as far as our moral compass.
Yep.
Because if we lose that type of interactivity, then we lose the sense to talk and connect with each other. Then, you know, we start looking more like Portland, where you don't matter to me and I don't know who you are, so I don't mind offending you or cutting you off or doing my own thing, no matter how it impresses on you. Yeah. But when our lives impact your life, and vice versa, you start to take that into community, and you begin to form a web of support.
A web of support.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I have some stats here that say, what people look for in small towns, and one of them you mentioned is community events, looking out for each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, community is absolutely important. I mean, what we did during the fires, what Estacada did during the fires, that if the fires had been in Portland, was right up against that area, I would not see the type of response that we had.
It was amazing.
Because that is a small town response. That is a community response of people that support, know each other, love each other, and move and work for each other to defend each other, to protect their way of life and who they are. That's where they stepped out. The people that fought out there, oh my goodness, what do we call them? The redneck fire crews.
Yeah.
Those guys that basically protected their homes and their neighbors' homes and fought for that. That is the community, and that's built on a culture. But that culture isn't built just because it's there. It's built on a sense of family values.
Yes, belonging. One of the interesting things about that is a lot of people, as this city grows or this town grows, they don't have that connectedness of trauma. We do. Mm-hmm. I guess we can call it trauma bonding, because we bonded over a threat to our city, our community. And we referenced this 2 year ago event as a marker to say that's what small towns are supposed to do.
Exactly. That's exactly supposed
to be. They pull together when everybody wants to pull out.
In a time of tragedy, they step up. But that is because the sense is based on family. Mm-hmm. While you see the leftist movement is to destroy what they call the nuclear family. Mm-hmm. There's a sense of structure and peace that comes there in that family piece, and that is what's ingrained here in a small town.
And building a false community.
Exactly.
Because if the community constantly changes based on feeling over fact and based on all everybody wanting their rights, that's not a community.
Exactly.
I see there's a left agenda that everybody wants their rights. Everybody wants to be identified as an individual. Not that it's not bad to be identified as an individual, but where does that small town community feel comes from? Because during the fires, I wasn't looking at my individual. I was looking at how I can help you.
Exactly.
It's a culture of selfishness.
It's there's in this case a culture of selflessness.
In this culture, of small town.
Yes, exactly. And the outside, the larger world, larger part. Now, am I saying that there's only if you live in a big city that you're not going to have it? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's not the culture. That's not the everything in bigger cities moves faster. It's more people. It's much more purpose and focus driven. Go to work, do your thing. You might have a small community. You might know your neighbors. That's great. You might have a little tiny cul-de-sac. But that's if you go to the grocery store, you may not know everybody at that grocery store. It's the neighborhoods are much more far and few between. And usually when you get those neighborhoods, it's because of probably that city encompassed another smaller city.
So what you're basically talking about is the bigger the city, something we lose in big cities. Mm-hmm. You can't look each other in the eye in big cities. What's missing now in big cities? And I'm not saying every big city in America, but most big cities, manners.
Manners, yes, definitely. Manners, communication, values. And then,
that's the opposite
and this
of
is
manners
what it leads
right
to.
There.
That's exactly what it leads to, something like this.
Yep.
Because if you don't have that sense of connection, that sense of values, the sense of core moral compass that comes from those values, you end up in things like that.
Well, the interesting part about that, I'm glad you said that, because manners, this downtown Portland thing that we just saw, this riot, if I know that you own a business downtown here, or Sean or anybody else owns a business, I would be very careful not to burn that down.
Well, there's a sense of hopefully you're not burning anything down.
No, but no. What I'm just saying is we know our neighbors enough to care about them.
Exactly. Well,
because we're mad.
Exactly. Here's the thing too. It's like I said, it becomes a sense of ownership too. This is if you hear that you say
yes.
Someone from Portland might say, "Hey, I'm from Portland," right?
Right.
And someone from Estacada say, "Yeah, I'm from my town." My town. Estacada. It's my town.
Yep.
You hear that a lot. It's my town.
It's my town.
Versus someone says, I'm from Portland. I'm from my town, Portland. Estacada. And some people might say, I'm from Estacada, yeah. But usually when it's talked about as my town. That's my home. That's where I'm from. That's my basis. That's my fallback. People don't say that about bigger cities because, unless they've been raised their entire time there, and they know nothing else. But even then, they'll say, oh, I'm from Rockwood or something like that. They have a place to go back to and pick a spot there. But with a smaller town, you have that closeness and that sense of family. And again, I'm laying it back to the family piece because the family brings connectivity. It's a connectivity to everybody.
Yes. Because it's connected. Do you remember it? I can't talk. I'm so excited about this. It takes a village to raise a child. In small towns, you have that connection where it used to be where if your kid got in trouble down the street with Sister Susie handled it and then called you and said, I handled it. Now
what do you mean it used to be? That's the way it is over in our neighborhood.
but because it's a culture, there's a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. There's a neighborhood involved.
Because and you get to know the people around you and you learn what you can and can't trust.
Yes.
Here's the other thing too is
I love Neighborhood Watch. You know why?
Because it keeps the crime down.
It keeps crime down because everybody knows everybody.
Well, exactly. That's the thing too. Is I was about to get to that. Is you'll find crime is much lower in small towns because people do know each other and they are more alert to what's going on because they know that Bill lives there, John lives there, and they know what their routines are and things and stuff. So when they know that Bill's on vacation with his family and there's some unmarked vehicle showing up and loading stuff out of his front of his house or whatever, or someone's looking they're on his property with flashlights or something weird, they call the cops. The cops come out and they take care of do their thing, But that's versus a big town like that. You don't know your neighbor. You don't know what they're doing. You're less likely to call the cops.
Yep. So. I hope we're getting some good job. Yes. I hope we're getting some audience participation because you guys chose this. There's also town pride.
Exactly. And but yeah, please tell us what you think. This is something I really want to hear from the audience on, and we got quite a few piling up here. So I'm going to start rolling through these a little bit. Sorry, guys, we got going a little bit.
We did.
So someone here said ultra mega. I don't drink, but I'll raise my mega pint to that. Nice.
I think I know who that is.
Yep.
It says, the signal is a little bit iffy, but we should be good.
Yeah, I think that was Brandy's note.
Someone said, you should read the next one.
Damn it, Joel, just try harder. Hey, I never said that intelligence was fully included with small towns. We get a few hillbillies.
Wow. The next one says, yes, culture, family, values.
Yes. Walked Estacada from Portland, LOL.
Yes, if that's going to happen, right?
Yep.
Long history here in Estacada. Yes, it is. 1905.
Exactly. And Mary Whitney loves you guys. And you know what? We love you, Mary. And we actually love what you do for the city. With not only with just your amazing company we're going to talk about here in a second, but you're one who does a lot behind the scenes that people don't see. So I want to make sure, and I'm not going to go into details for this specifically, but you've done a lot behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
And I want to make sure you get some unofficial mentioning of that.
Yep.
So you're the wind behind some of the sales.
You're the wind beneath my... Okay.
But as we talk about a company, Mary Whitney, or Whitney Signs, she owns an amazing company here in Estacada, and they work all over the area. They have a mobile sign truck that goes out, and they have some of the best signs I've ever seen. They make the stickers on our cups. They make the signs that we have around us.
And... They have a business that bears their sign.
Yep, the sign at your business has that as well. There's just so many things that they do, and I bet you probably wouldn't even know, but a lot of the signs around town are actually made by them, and especially the ones that are high quality. If it looks like it's good quality, it's not falling apart, it's definitely from them. Go take a quick look at this little commercial we have for them.
Awesome. That honk. I love that honk. Hey, guys. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't get a chance to hit that. You did. Quick on the draw. Hey, by the way, if you're a part of and live in a small community or small town, support local business.
Yes,
That's what we're doing here.
Do the best you can within reason.
Yes. Yes, support your local business. Remember, that's looking out for your neighbor.
Exactly.
Really good.
So someone else here said, Jeremy Freedom. Hello, Brandy, Joel Litke, and Tony Longdrew. Thank you so much, Jeremy Freedom. We appreciate it very much.
We love you. And someone said, actually, we missed this. Vote red.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Vote red.
Well, now let me be very clear. Vote the way you believe. We vote conservative. Vote the way you believe. We're not going to tell you how to vote. But you know what? I say do your research and make sure you're confident in who you're voting for, because this is the time right now that you can overturn some of the things you have not been happy with over the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
You put the right people in office, and that's going to help change and fix that.
Yes.
So vote for the people that you really believe can change something, but do your research. Don't take it at face value.
Yeah.
If you want to protect your small town, now's the time to do it, because the choices you make today will affect your small town tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Guarantee it.
Absolutely. Perfect. USA. So vote for
USA. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, good. Joe, very well said.
Yeah, thank you. I say that there. It says voting blue is a vote for communism, someone said.
Oh gosh. Don't Portland our Estacada.
Oh, say that with some feeling.
Don't Portland our Estacada.
Don't woke our Estacada.
Don't woke our Estacada. Is that
good comments tonight, guys. Good comments.
Yes, don't woke our Estacada. It says, when we stop at the local shop at the local grocery store, it takes twice as long to shop because we know the people and we end up chatting. LOL.
Yeah, we call it the community party line right there. Any example of small town cares? An example of small town cares. My car died on the highway just outside of Estacada last week. While waiting for the tow truck, I had 5 different people stop to see if they could help. If I was in Portland, I would never have had people stop to help. In fact, you probably would have lost your tires and your engine by the time they got there.
They would have helped. They would have helped themselves.
Small towns are safer, yes.
Small towns are safer. It says, in a large city, there's more autonomy. You can walk around and know one knows you. And Estacada, if you fart, everyone knows.
Exactly. Remember that. Trust me. Read
the next
that's a secondary party line called
hilarious.
smoke signals. We're going to get back to the more of those in a minute. Well, I wanted to jump back into here. So we've talked a little bit about what does it mean to be a small town. We talked about the culture, the family, the values, things like that. But small towns are fading, man.
Yeah.
What's causing them to fade? You want to talk a little bit about that? And maybe we talked a little bit about the big city mindset already, but let's maybe talk a little bit about that and kind of how the progressive push is really kind of helping to fade those small towns.
Well, yes. And I had some statistics here about fading small towns. I know.
Oh, sorry.
I know you hate that, but I have to bring up. Y'all might be interested in this. Can I just jump really fast here? It's the 10 most dangerous cities in the United States.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Let me do that. And we can talk about why small towns are fading.
Is Portland the top 3?
Actually, no. So Detroit is one of them. Minneapolis, Birmingham, Alabama, Baltimore, Maryland, which I used to live close to.
Actually, recently I saw something that said that was I think they said that is the most dangerous city in the United States.
Yeah.
And the reason why they said there's travel bans to go to places like El Paso and things. El Paso, but like that.
I was going to say El Paso.
The cities.
Nowhere close to Baltimore.
No. There's travel bans to go to some of those places, outside the country. El Paso's not a thing inside the country, but I'm talking about the ones outside the country. On those border towns.
Right.
They say don't travel to these places. Well, they don't have one to Baltimore, but Baltimore's crime rate and murder rate is, I think it's. I can't remember. It was like double that of one of the do not travel cities.
Yeah.
And it was like something like 30% higher than like the worst one in Mexico.
Weren't they one of the first cities to defund the police?
Yep.
Oh, well then there you go.
Yep.
There you go. Talk to BLM about that. Oh, wait a minute. They're in the mansion business.
Oh, wait. Let me just show you what a safe city looks like.
Okay.
Ready? Want to bring that one up you brought up a minute ago?
Safe city?
Yeah, the safe city. Safe city. There you go.
Oh, there's your safe city. That's what happens when there's no police officers.
Hey, this is a peaceful protest, damn it.
A peaceful protest. Oh, don't get me into the current events that are happening in the world right now. St. Louis, Missouri. There's another one. Kansas City is one of them. Cleveland, Ohio. Little Rock, Arkansas. Milwaukee. Wyoming.
Okay, if Portland is not in your top 10
and
list,
Stockton, California, and Portland's nowhere to be found.
That list is either old or they don't know what they're talking about.
This was last year, so this was last
I call
year.
BS in that list.
I think I do too, because Portland should be in there somewhere. I tried to look for Portland, and I didn't find them, but everybody knows it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's fake news.
It's also fake news.
It didn't really happen in Portland. Portland's fine. It's not dying.
It's not dying. I mean, we're safe here.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay, so why are small towns dying?
Well, they're dying from a few reasons. One is because the massive push out, like in Portland, for example, when it pushes out its borders, there's a horrible organization called Metro. Metro tends to the one that spent billions upon billions upon billions of dollars for like the light rail that almost nobody uses and they can't afford to really keep up going. Metro makes a lot of those bad decisions for Portland, but they push out their UGB, which starts to encompass and bump up against other cities, and sometimes incorporates them into that area. And then that small city, like Gladstone used to be outside of the Portland area, and then it got pulled in over time, and Troutdale and all those places have been pulled in and things because they bump up against that area, and then they become part of that bigger city and go from small town to big town. So they die that way because they become part of a larger town because of bigger cities have pushed into them. Two is you get people that still want they live the small town life, and so they're like, oh, we're going to move out to these smaller towns because they're still commutable to work or whatever. But then they don't realize that they like that small town and what the life it brings away from the big city because they make choices here that keep it that way. They make specific choices and specific actions. They keep it a small town that, keep a certain culture and that hometown feeling that they like because of the choices they make and what they do, and they keep that small community. But people from bigger towns will come in and then they begin to vote and begin to make choices and push things out in smaller towns that begin to change the culture of that town and eventually begin to kill the center culture of the town. Even more so because you get people that while they may love that town, they choose to, keep quiet. They're the silent majority, as you hear them called plenty of times. They choose not to take that action. And they think, okay, well, this is just a phase; it'll go away. But they don't realize what we don't realize over these last couple decades is that they're not going away; it's getting worse, and so it's requiring people to actually start standing up. But that's what kind of kills that, and why they're starting to fade is either being incorporated or progressive values are being pushed and forced upon the small town culture, and they're not defending it.
And they're not defending it. So, are you saying the culture, the dominant culture, becomes the subculture because they're not speaking out?
Exactly. They think it's just like you said. In the historically, you've had things like this come through their phases. Someone comes in and wants to make a change, and then it dies away. But that's not the way it is, because when the information age came forward, all that changed. When the internet was created, and as we get further along into that information stage, that changed the way it was the previous 200 years, 200 years, because in the last 40 years or 4 decades, we've had the information stage with the internet. Communication is stronger, faster, farther, longer, and people rely on it more.
Yes.
And so because of that, the small town culture is not near as protected because people aren't speaking up, and they're being able to draw on those outside ideas and more pressure for the outside ideas quicker and harsher and with more pressure.
Do you think that the smaller community, they desire the big city amenities, so therefore there is that tension there?
Yeah, for example, Estacada. People move to Estacada because they work in Portland, and they don't want to live in Portland because it's too expensive, or they don't like the crime, or they don't like X or Y.
It's expensive to live
but they
anywhere
want to live
in
in a
the
small
country.
town culture. They want to live in a small town outside of town, whatever it is, but yet still be able to commute to work. And so they come out here, but then they're living in city limits, and a lot of the people that have been around longer, usually they tend to push from inner city to outer city. They buy land or something, and so they encompass the area, but they're not, because they're not in that tax position.
Yes.
They don't get a voting value in the city of Estacada. Only people within the city. I think it's a bad design.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you write city of Estacada on your address or Estacada on your address, then you should have voting rights. But that's not the way the law works. And so the law says whatever's in the city limits, you're taxed on. So because you pay taxes to the city, you get to vote for what happens in the city. And I can understand the logic behind that.
I can understand the logic.
But at the same time, what they miss the logic of everybody that lives around that small town.
Yes.
Brings their money in because they shop here. They spend money at the businesses. They may own a business there. They may support people that live there. They may even own property technically in there. They just don't live on that property. They may own a house that they rent out or something.
And they may have no choice but to live in the outskirts anyway.
It may be.
They're contributing to the...
Exactly. And so while I get there's a piece of logic behind it, that piece of logic is broken now because you get a certain specific mindset that tends to live in the city limits versus those who live on the outside of the city, because different culture, different values, different understandings and things, and there's a whole kind of conversation there.
You say there's a cultural differential between the outskirts and inner city?
Yeah, there is. Exactly. So someone who has lived in the city most of their life is not going to have the same type of values and understandings as someone who's lived on a farm most of their life.
Yeah, true.
So,
absolutely.
And that's just
Good
an
point.
example there.
Yep.
But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's what kind of erodes that, is because you get people that want the smaller town feel. They come out here, they get in the voting area, they bring those things they didn't like, they vote the same way and wonder why they have to move somewhere else down the road because they don't like the city.
Gotcha.
It's like when people from California tend to move up here.
Yep.
And they move up to Oregon and they vote and they run from the high taxes, the high crime rate, the bad choices being made down there and everything else. But they come up here and they vote the exact same way they did down there. Instead of changing the way that they did things, they bring those bad values up here, and then they begin to do the same thing up here, and it breaks it up here. And then guess what? They'll move on somewhere else I hate to describe it, but it's almost like a virus.
Yeah.
People, and the thing is, if you don't like the way things are, instead of running from it and bringing the same bad habits somewhere else, if you move somewhere, change your habits, adapt the culture in that area, and because if you like what's there, you need to figure out what's happening there so you can keep it that way.
Well, you moved there for that reason.
Well, exactly. You don't move somewhere else because you don't like where you're at and then bring those same values because you're going to begin changing that culture. But if you want to keep the culture, you move to a place, you learn the culture that you like there, what it takes to keep that, and then you change what you're doing to match that.
Yes. Yes.
And so,
what inspired this is there was a person who put out online or on our local Estacada neighborhood watch a question. And it was the question of, what do you guys feel about this term, don't Estacada our Portland, or don't Portland our Estacada, I should say. And there were many different, as you just said, many different reasons and good reasons why that term or why that slogan's there. Because I've always wondered, I'm like, don't Portland or Estacada. Okay, that sounds great. I love Estacada. I moved to Estacada for a reason. And the reason was because of the small town vibe and feel and the safety and all of those things. And I'll include it. And so I have reasons for why I would say that. But what are your reasons that you say Estacada should not be Portlandized, whatever you want to call it?
Portlandized.
Actually,
make it an actionable term.
I know that's not a really term, but I want to show you a picture of what we don't want Portland to turn. I'm sorry, Estacada to turn out to be. I think it's a tent one. I think is what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's popped up once.
Did we pop that one up already?
Yeah, we can pop up again.
Because one of
ready?
What am I doing?
Oh, it didn't work. Never mind. She's not listening.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, he's got the magic fingers.
Okay,
no,
not that one.
The tent one.
But there's
there
you go. That's what we don't want.
I just feel she did it for you, but you didn't do it for me. I need buttons back. So someone said another example. There was an accident on the highway. A small dog escaped from a car, and the driver was upset and worried. A call was made, and over a dozen people showed up to find him. He was found and returned to the owner. Never would have happened in a big city. Exactly. There's also, like, a while back, we had a small child that had wandered out of a home and was lost in the woods. A few calls, and we had 50 people within 10 minutes in that area searching for the child. Yeah. He was found and returned home.
Yep.
Within a couple hours.
We have lost signal, but we are still recording. It has come back live, but nobody has caught the live stream again. So if anyone's having trouble, just don't fret. We will have the recorded version out after.
Okay.
One of our viewers said, yes, John, and we can say it since you put out, John Nieder Sr., the dog was saved and returned to his owner. Thank you, Chris Nelson. And the reason, and it's interesting, these names that just came up this is because of small town. People know what other people are doing.
Exactly. So I love this town, but it is deteriorating fast. We need to stop the housing sprawl, so it's on.
Talk about that one.
Safe city, ha ha ha.
Yeah, safe city, ha ha. LOL. It is so dying.
Yeah, and Portland is a shit show, someone said, and someone else said.
Next, bro.
There you go.
Go ahead, bro.
Our small town of Cicada is not dying. We have a population over 5K, and people want to live here. Yeah, so there's. Let me give you a few because there's obviously a couple different opinions on that one. Our small town, as far as the population and growth, not dying, but there are some cultures that are in some values that have eroded and faded a little bit over time, and that's what makes our small town is by those particular values and those way they do things, and those are fading a little bit, and they need to be defended.
Yeah, so absolutely. Hi, Backwooders.
Portland is dying, yes, and the downtown business are evaporating.
Yeah, yep, it is. When I move, I am going to make sure I am at least 25 miles away from urban growth boundaries.
There you go. Yeah, and we're a long ways away from the urban growth boundary out here. But you know what?
I was thinking that it was time to take a pizza break.
Yeah, I definitely could use some pizza right now.
All right. Well, you know what? I want to show you just this fine business that is in our small community, and she's been well established here for years, and her pizza just gets better with age. So you're going to want to watch this commercial. Her name is Valerie, the owner of Hitch and Post Pizza. We love you. We love ya. Here it goes.
Hey guys, we are back, and
Hey!
man, I love the pizza there. It's absolutely awesome.
It's so good. What a small town environment when you go in there. The place is literally set up with games for kids. As a matter of fact, Valerie gave my own kid an opportunity to just kind of earn her food by collecting tickets and things like that, and she was so proud to do that.
Nice,
So awesome.
nice. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, but look, hey, we talked a little bit about it already. We talked about what a small town is, what's it mean to be a small town,
Yeah.
how they're fading. But let's talk a little bit about what is lost when small towns fade away.
What is lost?
What is I love or whatever. I don't know the words. So a couple things. It really is a loss of those core family values. It's a loss of the community, and it's a loss of a balance.
So that's okay. Go ahead. Go right into that. 'Cause I have some stuff for that.
Well, yeah, and so we've
Loss
talked
of
about,
balance.
we've talked about the importance of the family values and what those are, and there's been a consistent attack on the family values from the progressive left. Basically, and it's actually part of it's even partaken from the U.S. government by denying needed benefits to. In some cases people of color and things, or in general people if they're still with their spouse and things like that. Divorce your spouse, you get X benefits. So, and that's a horrible way to adapt things, but that's a direct attack on the family values. And we're talking about not as family, we're talking about the nuclear family. And the nuclear family is based upon core central values. And
but right now the nuclear family is under attack.
It's on heavy
as
attack
a whole,
because and nothing against anybody if they choose to have a same sex partner.
Yes,
that's their basis, but it shouldn't be where it's overly pressed against. It's let you live your life. Don't impress it upon mine.
Well, the impressing upon your choice is actually as living in a nuclear family has become villainized. Actually,
Oh, exactly. It's instead of just letting bygones be bygones, and one family lives their way and I live my way, and we know each other, and we're okay with the differences, type of thing. There's a move from the progressive left to actually, like you said, villainize and attack the structure of the nuclear family,
which you find in a lot of small towns.
Yeah, and people don't know what the nuclear family is. That's husband, wife, and kids. And 3.2 dogs.
And 3.2 dogs.
Or 3.2 kids.
Man, your dog is like 3 people. I tell you what.
But she's like this tall.
Yes. Yep. She's in one of our videos.
Little English bulldog. Yep. In one of our earlier videos.
Yes. Yeah. But that's, yeah.
How did that therapy session go?
She had a lot of rough to say.
It was a rough session?
A lot of rough sessions.
Yes. She was barking and grunting and farting.
You know what takes a hit in small towns?
What's that?
Is the curriculum in public schools.
Oh, yes, definitely. And well, I mean, if I came to you and I said, hey, you need to think this, you need to think that, you need to, you should adopt these ways of my thinking. In most cases, if you're opposite of me, you're going to go, well, shove it up your ass.
Right.
Yeah. But if you start small, no major change and shift in anything is done simple. It's always done in small bits. Because when you add small bits together, it becomes a greater portion. So if you start by changing the way people are thinking at a young age, and you start pushing the values that you want versus the values that someone else wants, or what their family does, or what the core part of that town is, you begin to change that thinking, and over time, you're altering generations.
You said core part. The core part of a small community is the schools and sports. That's the core. Everybody centers around sports. So it would make sense for an infiltration of progressive ideas to come into your small town through
sports,
public school.
And school and sport. Well, I guess sports, school more. Yeah.
Yeah, school. Not necessarily sports.
And and the big thing too is in the past they haven't been so blatant about it. These days they're more blatant about it because they've already set their foothold in it.
Yeah. This town is largely conservative. So imagine some of the outside arguments coming into Estacada about sports even.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We've seen it. We know,
Oh, we talk. What's that dude's name that won the girls' swimming thing?
I forgot.
Something Thomas.
Leah Thomas.
Huh?
George Thomas or something?
Leah Thomas.
Leah Thomas.
Actually, William, I believe.
William Thomas? Okay, gotcha.
So, yes. I'm waiting for a discussion like that in Estacada and see how well that goes over.
Yeah, good luck on that one.
I don't know. Crime and safety is a threat to small towns.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially from...
Yeah, but like we talked a little bit about how some of the small towns can defend against that. But yeah, when it leaks from a larger town, especially in like bad economies and things, it really is an issue because one of the things people enjoy about small towns is the security that they feel.
By the way, this is not the first bad economy that small towns have weathered the storm of.
They've weathered bad economies from the beginning.
Yes, they moved to small towns because you don't have a good, you don't have all those amenities.
How about Jamestown?
Yeah.
When they first, the quick history in Jamestown is when they first came over, a whole group of people came over and they were trying to weather the winter and things like that. Mm-hmm. When they sent the next group of people over I think it was about a year later, they arrived. Most of the people, I think they had come over with like 600 people, I think it was, and all but like 60 of them were dead. And they were even to the point where they were eating each other. Mm-hmm. And it's because they had died in that area and new groups had come in. And I'm trying to remember how I was connecting this together. But the whole point is they've gone through hardship. That's what
they go through hardship.
Back from the beginning.
Towns that have gone through hardship. Yeah. I was like, what? How?
I was trying to connect it back to the hardship.
I'm trying to make her. It might no, we don't resort to cannibalism people, in Estacada. Okay? We don't resort to that.
Not our party up in here.
Not our party up in here. But no, crime. We have in our small community, and I think every small community has a larger than we want drug problem. And It does lend itself to crime.
Exactly.
And based on addiction.
Yes.
But no town, no city gets to escape from that.
Exactly.
But what's going on with small town again is crime is still down because of every neighbor watching out for each other. And that's the thing. That's a threat against a small town, but the saving grace is that we still look out for each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a community, and that's where excuse me, sorry.
Yeah. But I got to tell you this one more thing, brother. And you mentioned this too. One of the threats against small towns tend to be housing.
Yeah, it is housing. You get too many people moving out here, you lose the ability to get housing. You got to build more housing, and it grows the town that way.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing wrong with. I'll be very clear about this one. There's nothing wrong with growth in a small town as it's controlled growth.
Controlled growth.
Explosive growth, not a good thing for a small town.
Also, culture shock leads to that, too. Mm-hmm. Like, they changed the culture so fast. There's literally culture shock.
It is culture shock, and that's the thing is, a small town can grow, but it needs time to grow. It needs controlled growth. So those values have time to spread out. But when it's explosive growth, you can hit culture shock. There's other problems like infrastructure. There's monetary issues. There's a whole lot of things that come along with that outside just the culture piece of it.
Yes.
And you begin not to know your neighbor.
You begin not to know your neighbor. And then not knowing your neighbor leads to mistrust and all of that. And me.
Exactly. Yeah. And one of the things I was talking to do about what is lost when the small towns start to fade away, it's a balance. And when I say that balance, I mean is the balance of a core place where those values and the sense of family and that community structure and everything kind of reside and kind of expound from, to be able to try to push that into other people where kids can learn it and stuff. That there will balance against the other side where people are coming in. They don't know that because they've lived in the bigger towns. They've only known you don't talk, like New York, for example. You don't look at people. You don't talk to them because you get yelled at, and you don't get that small town kind of feel. But when you have one on each side, you kind of get a balance where people can go both ways. But there's a meet in the middle area too, where you can get those middle kind of medium towns, and people still can try to keep that culture alive a little bit. But, you try to get that melting pot. But with the small towns, if they die away, you lose that balance. And before you know it, everybody doesn't talk to each other. They don't know the neighbors' names. And you've kind of lost those values that keep us and give some sort of sense of guidance and understanding of why we're even, here in general.
You and I tend to fall into the conservative realm, and what used to be the core value in a small community. And I had a chance to travel to Europe, and in traveling to Europe, I see in small towns the central part of the small town is this cathedral-looking church, literally, or castle, but no, church. And you saw that steeple, and you knew that from that steeple was the offspring of a community.
Exactly.
In the black community, it used to be where the church was the fundamental piece of holding a community together. So from that, you've got the family values. From that, you got those things that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I guess where I'm going with that is that I'm not saying necessarily that is the central focus of a community, but a lot of the values came from that.
Oh, exactly. Well, I mean, if you go all the way back to before America was here and back into the biblical times, so that is where the small towns and the towns, they did center around the church, because that is where the values come from, and also where a lot of the support and the interaction and community. It was a family. The community was the family, and
We
part
didn't
of the church.
rely on social services
Exactly.
and all those types of
And
things.
and in some churches and in some communities, that's still very well alive. But unfortunately, today's modern day American church has completely lost that vision, and they've stepped far away from that.
Yeah.
They have lost the idea of what the church is meant to be there for, and all they're worried about is the building, and they're worried about, can they pay the bills, can we get more people in here, and they lost the fact that that building is just a building and means nothing. If you have a parking lot, if you have a place to meet, that's what matters. Places like the small towns and places like over in China, people where it's illegal to do that, they understand it. They do plenty of church right in someone's house, and they understand it's about the community piece. It's about the relationship. Back to that relationship, I've always preached from the beginning. It's always about relationship. That's what community is.
I'm glad you said that. And a community can also have a community watch program, which provides those services of a small town that a small town should. Each one reach one type of thing. I guess dinner's ready. I did not mean for that to go off. But I think dinner's ready. In a small town community, you love to have dinner at a set time. Anyways.
We don't have dinner at a set time.
No, we don't have dinner at a set time. Right.
But yeah, the key thing is the loss of that balance. And I'll tell you one thing, man. Losing the balance, losing small towns, watching them fade away, watching the damage come to the people there, and they're trying to indoctrinate from our generation. It's our kids, that they're trying to push their values into. And instead of trying to override and disconnect the parents, all that together, it really pisses me off.
Yeah.
And it's where my patriotic piece stemmed from, is small towns, and where America came from is that patriotic piece. It's where I learned it.
Yeah.
And when you combine the two together, I become a really pissed off patriot. And we have a line of clothing and items that kind of talk about a little bit pissed off patriot stuff. I'll take a quick look. Hey guys, how's it going? We're back again.
Welcome back.
Hey, we do know that there are some stream issues, but we will have a full upload of this afterward. Please comment, even if we're not live anymore. Please comment. We like to see those comments and try to comment back on them and things. And Tony loves to share things out during the week and comment back and get in conversations.
Speaking of sharing things out during the week, we're still doing our BS project. Just real fast, give it a shout out. We still want you to like, share, subscribe. We still want you to go visit the website. We still want you we need you. And we still want you to check out the Ridiculous that comes out this week. And we do post very much throughout the week on our Facebook page. So engage there.
We actually have a pretty good one we have set coming up here for this Friday release of The Ridiculous. And so we've been real quick, so we'll talk real quick and we'll jump back in. We've been releasing something called the Breaking News on Mondays. We're going to shift that back to our Backwoods Minute. Will be coming out, is the name of the show. It'll be coming out on Mondays. Instead of me calling it the breaking news, because we've realized that we try to get you guys information out, but we're not focusing so much on what's breaking news and what's up to date in the minute. We're trying to give you guys some good input of our information and our views and some and things, but we're not necessarily. It doesn't mean it happened today.
No, we're an opinion.
You're an opinion.
We're an opinion thrown out at you. Yeah. So we might not talk about those current events.
Exactly.
We might talk about an aspect of those that we have an opinion on.
Exactly. So the Backwoods Minute will still be kind of like providing you some good information, insight, and opinions on stuff, but it'll be back with the Backwoods Minute again.
And I like the fact that we get to talk about it and have an opinion on something. I
like
that.
Oh yeah,
my opinion on small towns are we can't lose this piece. It's the heart of America.
Exactly.
And values. And you talk about being a patriot.
Exactly.
You still find the patriots in small towns.
Well, yeah, that's where they tend to congregate the most because that aligns with their values. We've been talking about what's it mean to be a small town. We've been talking about small towns, are they fading, and kind of what it means when they're going away. But the real question is, what can people do to protect their small towns?
And that's a good question. I'm going to just have an opinion. Um, what can we do to protect small towns? At its core, maintain a small town attitude. We kind of mentioned it already. Mm-hmm. Watch the people around you. Be mindful of the people around you. Talk to the people around you. Help the people around you. Assist the people around you. It used to be in villages where everyone contributed. Yep. No one expected a free ride. Well, in big cities, there's been so much government overreach that now everybody gets a free ride.
Exactly. The thing is, I think it comes down to is everything you just said was to have that relationship founded on love. Now, I'm not talking about the icky gooky love. I'm talking about love for one another, love for your brother, love for a. I'm talking about like humanly love, loving other people, and if you have that and you put that as a core centerpiece of it, you're going to really protect what that small town piece is.
And we have a city council. Every small town has a city council. They have a mayor, city council. What other branches of government do you have in your small town that you can contribute to?
Oh, you have the school board, you have the fire board, things like that.
Yes. So get on these boards, speak into these boards, speak the values that you have lived under here and small towns.
Yeah, exactly. Like we also got committees people can get involved in too. Yes. We've got like the Downtown Estiqueta Commission here. We've got a brand new one that's still got to pass one more time, but it's the Traffic and Safety Committee. We've got we got other committees such as like the Parks and Rec. We got the Infrastructure Committee. We got all these committees that are really important that people can jump on and they can be part of to help protect and be part of taking action to protect from the governmental side of the things that they love. But there's one more thing they can do, and you've mentioned it already. The first step that anybody can take, if they haven't done it already, is to simply go outside your front door, turn left, turn right, look at the houses around you, go knock on the door if you don't know the person, and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Invite them over for dinner, have a barbecue, something like that. Summer, it's a good time for it. Have a block party. Get to know your neighbors. And, and if you have a feud with your neighbor, get the fuck over it and try to figure out the problems and work through them and come work around.
And understandably, I'm glad you said that. We're not a monolith anywhere, so people are not going to believe in the same things that you do believe, especially once you move to Estacada or move to your small town. We're going to have a number of ideas. However, the values of a small town don't have to change. Exactly. I can have a difference of opinion, but the values of a small town, safe schools, and all of those things, watches, you mentioned a lot of them. Those at their core can stay the same.
Yep.
Even with different opinions.
Exactly. I think if you wanted to get that is recognize our differences, embrace the differences, but don't be afraid to
realize you live in a community.
Yeah, don't be afraid to disagree. It's okay. It's okay if you don't agree with me. You can say that you like Pepsi and I can say I like Coke and think you're wrong. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Or no, you're wrong, whatever. But that's fine. You don't have to like Coke.
But I don't get to act up because you like a different
exactly.
In a lot of the big cities, you see people acting up when they don't agree.
Exactly. It's okay to disagree. That's the biggest thing. I think if anything lost, it's okay to disagree. It's definitely okay. You can be passionate about what your point is, but if in the end I choose not to follow what your thoughts are, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if it's a political thing and you want to be involved, get involved in politics. Join a committee. Make sure you vote. Come down to city council meetings. Get on the city council. If it's school district, get involved in the school board. Get involved with by going down and speaking up. Get a job with the parent teacher organization. If it's a fire board, the same thing. Become a volunteer. Join the fire board. Run for something. Do something. Don't sit there and bitch. Do something about it.
Now, people who are on city council and on the local governance of a small town probably come up against big city types of plans and the progressive movement towards small towns. How do you keep that at bay? How do you make sure those things don't?
A city council is only as strong as the people behind them supporting him. Mm-hmm. So if you have somebody that's fighting for what you want in a city council, Don't sit back and think they got it. No, you need to get your ass out there. I'm going to use the word ass on this one because I'm trying to get the attention of people. You need to get out there and you need to partake. You need to not get online and say something in whine. Show up at a meeting, get involved in something, write letters, whatever it takes.
That's what messed up.
Show the support that's there.
That's what messed up small town communication because you get online.
Yeah, don't just get online. Anybody with a half a brain can get online and type something, but anybody who gives a shit and really wants to see change has to take physical actions. Words mean absolute shit. Action means everything.
Yeah.
So you can say whatever you want. I can say I'm king of the world, and it doesn't really matter anything because I have no actions to back it up.
Titanic?
Yeah.
Oh, is that I'm the king of the world?
I can say I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow if I want to. I can say that all I want, but it means nothing if I don't have an action that's going to actually make that true.
Really? So I just can't think I'm a millionaire and then become one?
Yeah, that's not a subjective view. You can identify as a millionaire all you want. Good luck on going how that works out for you. We have a couple of extra comments here.
They did come
up. All the new houses are not only hurting the livability of Estacada with the increased crime, traffic, and people.
Yep.
They are going to cost all of us services like sewers, poop plant, water treatment, police. It's very much wanting to move. But it's going to cost us, yes, and it sucks it's going to happen, but you could very easily move to another town where that could happen later. I mean, every town has to upgrade, and like the sewage plant in Estacada, that's something that needs to happen no matter what. That would have come no matter what because it was like 40 years old, and so it would need to be replaced either way. But yeah, it does happen. There's supposed to be some balances and stuff too when they come in. They're supposed to pay SDCs and supposed to all pay for things. It doesn't always work the way we want it, but it's this kind of the way it works. When you expand or things get old, you got to replace them. We pay much higher property taxes living in the city. Yeah, you do pay higher property taxes living in the city. That is very true. Mm-hmm. I don't discount that, but at the same time, we shouldn't discount the fact is that the city, like the businesses in the city with stores, restaurants, everything else like that, they all depend on there's 5,000 people in Estacada, but there's 35,000 people in the area that depend on Estacada. So there's 30,000 people that help support those businesses in the area. And I don't know if that's the exact numbers, but it's right around 30,000, I think, in the area, 40,000 that depend on this zip code area. So that includes like George, Eagle Creek, and those areas.
Yes,
so,
makes sense. Okay,
yeah.
So 30,000. I was wondering about the inflation of numbers.
Yeah, they depend on Estacada. They come to shop here. They read restaurants, things like that. And that's not even counting tourism and things. So yeah, you do pay higher property taxes, but there's a high dependency because those property taxes alone wouldn't pay for everything in the city. Business taxes and everything else also partakes in that as well.
Why are some small communities kind of fearful of tourism? Tourism.
I don't know why they'd be fearful of tourism, but I think it's more of outsiders. But
more of the outsider,
or
staying.
It's more
liking and staying, or
staying. I don't think they minded so much of coming to visit. But I mean, I've never seen outsiders and tourists as a problem, so I guess I can't give my direct opinion on that.
Right. I wonder if anybody's out there can speak to that because I've seen some things online about just general fear of tourism exploding the city even more to people wanting to live.
It might. I mean, that might be one thing where they might want to move in to the town, but that's one thing that tourism does. It gets people to want to move in. Yeah. So I can get that piece, but we quite literally depend on tourism here.
Yes,
I think we average about $1.5 million a year. Usually is what we get from tourism.
Yes,
we've lost that much because of the fires because we haven't got the tourism. But people go up the river, shop in our stores, and buy our gas, and they eat at the restaurants and things like that. All that matters. We have businesses that depend on things like the river. To be able to give rafting trips and things, and those aren't happening.
That's interesting you say that. You bring up another value of small towns, tourism, and people wanting to come and do recreation here. And and they come here because it is a small town. Mm-hmm. It's a place to get away.
Exactly. It's to escape the busy,
the
crazy
hustle,
life.
Bustle of crazy life.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot tonight, Tony, about what it is to be a small town, how they're fading, some things lost when a small town fades away, and then what people can do, and how they can get out there and try to protect that small town by getting involved by getting out there and getting to know their neighbors and protecting the values through schools, through city councils, through just community, protecting those values.
Yes.
And it's, I think we can talk about it till our ears fall off, but what really matters is the people hearing this to get out and do something about it.
And you can do this not just in our small town. There's small towns all across America. We brought it up, actually, on screen.
This right here, these are the smallest towns in America.
The smallest towns.
I mean, if like somebody's a population
but
of 1.
These are conversations happening there.
Yeah, they're literally in every single state. You can see like population 6, 7, 1. These are all small, tiny,
small,
or super micro towns. But
the sheriff is the priest, who's the
literally the mailman, gas pumper, and residents, and the mayor, all that in one.
But those are towns I want to come visit. I want to visit those.
Like nowhere, Arizona. But population, I think it was like population 3 or something.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know what the demographics are in terms of political.
I see it's Willow, but nowhere Arizona has a population like 3 and a dog.
Well, and you see Alaska down there, right? I lived in a small town of 3,000 up there.
Yeah,
and it's very much a culture.
It is. It's very much
Norwegian culture up in Alaska, in Petersburg, Alaska.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing is it's culture. Yeah. Culture matters. Culture matters. So, okay, well, do you have anything else you want to talk about tonight, Tony?
You know what? I just encourage people to keep the small town vibe and to fight for that and to speak. Look out for your neighbor. The best way to fight for it is to become a presence in your small community.
Exactly. Fight for it. Fight for it legally.
Legally.
Yep.
Yeah. We don't do literal fights. Legally.
Do it legally.
Legally.
Protect your town. Get involved. Mm-hmm. Go out and mow the elderly person's yard down the road, or
don't get personal.
Yep. Go. I'm saying go mow someone's yard.
Everybody come to my broski's house and mow his lawn.
Okay. No. Do not come to my house.
You already know where it is anyway.
I need to fix my lawnmower. No. I have been trying to fix our lawnmower for a while, and that thing does not want to start. It's the reason why I pulled outside to try to fix it, and the lawnmower looks at the yard and goes, "Oh wait, no way." I'm just not going to start for that crap. You weed that thing down, and then I'll talk about it.
Your lawnmower cannot get into. Okay, I'm getting off into the subject.
The grass has gotten to knee high because my lawnmower. I've tried 3 times to fix it now. And I have a friend that says they can.
Everybody knows everybody around here. So if there's any small children lost in the grass, we'll find them.
We're charging admission to see the zoo. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Sorry if you got cut out here. We will try to fix what that problem is. I'm not sure why we've been losing it lately.
And Joel's chair.
And it's squeaky chair. I keep tightening the thing, but my butt's too big.
We have a screen again.
Yeah, we do have a screen. Have you seen the light on the table there? It helps. We had to put a new screening. Last one died.
Yes.
That's why it's so important for you guys to help support us by buying some of our merch.
Yes.
And supporting us by going to these our sponsors like Hitchin Post and things, so that they want to continue to sponsor us and by giving us money to buy things like replacement TVs and tools to tighten chairs and fix lawnmowers. Mm-hmm. So thanks you guys so much. Remember, hey, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Be good to your neighbors, and we'll see you next week. And check out tomorrow Randy's show, Campfire Discussions, as he talks about a very special book and a very special author and what that all means.
Special in 2 ways.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right.